Over the weekend, I thought I would Google what's the most common question about diabetes that's Googled. So after doing that, I discovered that the question that most people ask Google is, what is type 2 diabetes? That is the most commonly asked question to Google. All right. And then that question is followed by, other questions related to symptoms, causes, other factors, and how to manage the condition. So I thought I would share with you some of the questions that people go to Google to ask. And I was really happy about seeing these questions that people Google, because I always recommend that people do research on their own. So when you find out that you have a condition that the doctor has given you a diagnosis for, I highly recommend that you go and find out about it, and find out as much information as you can about that condition. So research, education, information is all very important, because remember, if people perish because of a lack of knowledge. So we do recommend that you find out about the disease process that you have been given, and not just let it happen on its own, so find out as much information about it. So let's talk about what Google says is the most asked questions related to type 2 diabetes. So we're just going to kind of go through it. So getting the general understanding of type 2 diabetes, the question most commonly asked is, what are the symptoms of type 2 diabetes? Now, I'm not going to go into answering these. I just want you to know the questions that people ask Google. Okay, I'm not going to answer them. I'm just going to tell you what the questions are. And then I want you to go to Google and ask those questions too, and see the answers that Google gives you, which is very good information. And it's going to help improve your ability to either overcome the type 2 diabetes, understand the type 2 diabetes, and or get information about reversing the type 2 diabetes. Okay, so it's going to be to your advantage to go to Google, either on your phone or on your computer, and look to see what the answers to these questions are. So these are the questions that I want you to ask Google. The majority of people in the United States and the world has asked these questions. So number one that I just got through talking about is, what are the symptoms of type 2 diabetes? What causes type 2 diabetes? And another common question in the area of general understanding of diabetes is, what is type 2 diabetes hereditary? These are common questions. Now, common questions related to the risk and prevention of diabetes are, and I'm reading them because I printed them out. What are the risk factors of type 2 diabetes? People wanted to know that. And then what can type 2 diabetes be prevented? And what is pre-diabetes? Those are questions that was related to risk and prevention. Now, there were several questions related to the management and treatment of type 2 diabetes. These are questions that were asked. What are normal blood sugar levels for someone with type 2 diabetes? Now that's a good question. You need to know the answer to that. Okay, so when you're checking your blood sugars every day, you want to make sure that they're within a normal range as much as possible. All right. And what are the treatment options for type 2 diabetes? Can type 2 diabetes be cured? What is metformin? And what is insulin? These are questions that were related to the management and the treatment of type 2 diabetes. All right. And then some other common questions is, and I'm going to summarize it with these. Is type 2 diabetes a serious disease? That question was asked to Google. These are the most common questions that were asked to Google. And I want you to go and ask Google some of these questions yourself so that you can get the answers to these. Because what? Knowledge is power. All right? So, is type 2 diabetes a serious disease? That's the one I just read. What are the complications of type 2 diabetes? And can I take both pills and insulin to control my blood sugar? And then the last most common question in this area is, what is insulin resistance? Okay, so that's your homework. Okay, that is your homework for today, or whenever you get a chance to do it this week, as much as possible. So a high search volume for these questions indicate a strong interest in understanding type 2 diabetes. So it lets us know that when people get a diagnosis of type 2 diabetes, they are going to look and see what it's all about. They're going to find out some information. So Google is your best friend, all right, for all the questions that you may have related to type 2 diabetes. And another thing that a lot of people are using also now is ChatGPT. That is an AI program, an AI system. So you can ask AI some of these same questions, okay? But the thing is, my purpose for today is to encourage you to do research and get a better understanding on your own about what type 2 diabetes is. Okay? Your doctor is not going to have the time or space to educate you in these areas, okay? Or you could take a class in type 2 diabetes, or a class in any kind of diabetes, so that you can have a better understanding and be more equipped for what you're dealing with, right? You can't fight something you don't know that much about. So you do your research, ask Google these questions, ask AI some of these questions, and find out the answers so you will be equipped, okay? All right, that's all I wanted to share with you today, and I will see you again next time.